Hello and welcome Rooks to Cooks community. My name is Chef Asha and today I'll be showing you how to do this fun Christmas activity, and it's kind of a craft. We'll be making Christmas ornaments from scratch. So if you're ready, we'll jump right into it. So before we jump into actually making our Christmas ornaments, I want to walk you through the ingredients you'll need as well as all the equipment. So firstly, we will need 4 cups of flour. We will need 1 cup of salt, and the last ingredient is 1.5 cups of water. For equipment, we will need a big mixing bowl to make all of our dough in. You will need some extra mixing bowls for the different colored doughs if you want to switch up the colors. You will need food coloring of your choice. I have green and red for Christmas. And then we will need a straw, some cookie cutters, a rolling pin, a baking sheet, as well as a cooling rack to bake the ornaments on top of. And then after ornaments are all baked and ready to go and to decorate, you will need some glitter glue or paint, some string or twine of your choice, as well as scissors. So now that we have all our ingredients and all our equipment ready, I want you to go ahead and preheat your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit on bake. The first step is making our dough. So I have 4 cups of flour in my mixing bowl, and to that I'm going to add the 1 cup of salt, and then we're just going to give that a mix with our hands. Get the salt all incorporated into the flour, and when you feel it's all nice and mixed in, we can begin to add our water. So the thing about adding water to a dough is that you don't want to add it all at once, just in case there's little discrepancies in the way you measured your flour. So what I would suggest is start by adding a little bit of flour at a time, and then keep adding as you begin to bring the dough together. If you do need all the water, great. If you don't, at least now you know. So I'm going to start by adding about half, and then I'll start to bring the dough together. And I'm just going to add a little bit more. And then we'll keep doing this until all the dough has come together and we don't want any more dry flour left in our bowl. What I would suggest when making a dough is to try to keep one hand relatively clean while the other one is in the dough. So just in case you do need to grab something, for instance the water cup, you don't have 2 hands completely covered in dough. Because we have a lot of flour, a lot of salt, and not that much water, this will be a relatively dry dough, but just keep kneading, it will come together. And if ever you have a lot of sticky dough on your hands, just try to rub it in the dry flour that's in your bowl, and you can even rub your hands together like this with that dry flour, and everything should come off relatively easily. So this is a very dry dough, so it won't be completely cohesive, but as long as you're able to grab a piece and it holds together like this, you should be good to go. Awesome, so when your dough looks like this and you're able to grab it and form a solid piece like this, you are good to go. Again, it's okay if it's a bit crumbly, but as long as you're able to form it into a ball, you're good. After your dough is formed, you are now ready to move on to the next steps, which is coloring different dough if that's what you're into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some dough just white, and then I'm going to divide about a third of the dough to be green and then another third to be red. So I'm just going to grab some dough and put it in these extra bowls that I have, so that we have 3 doughs for 3 different colors. When you want to add color to your dough, what you want is to add a lot of food coloring to 2 teaspoons of water first. So I'm going to add about 4 or 5 drops to the 2 teaspoons of water. Give it a little mix, and then I will add that straight into my dough. And then we'll do the exact same thing with the red. So after you've done that, you want to go ahead and knead the dough until all the color is spread throughout, and then we will begin to roll out our dough so we can put it in the oven. So what I'm doing is I'm just bringing some dough into the center and then pushing down with my palm, and then I'm just twisting it and repeating. So bringing some dough into the center, pushing down with my palm, and then twisting. So I found that my dough is still a little bit too light, so what I'm gonna do is add another 1/4 teaspoon of water, but this time with an extra amount of food coloring. Because this is such a simple dough, if you do feel the need to add a little bit more water to make it easier to roll out and grab, feel free to do so. And I did the same thing when I was adding the food coloring, so it should be fine. The only thing that this is going to affect is the bake time, so I'll let you know about that afterwards. So now we can begin rolling everything out. I'm going to start with the white dough, and what you want is just to put the dough out on your table or your counter. You shouldn't need any flour underneath. And then you're just going to begin to roll out your dough. So you want to roll out the dough until it's about a centimeter thickness. And once you are satisfied with the thickness, you can go ahead and start to cut out the shapes. So for the white dough, I want to make nice snowflakes and snowmen or women. So I'll go ahead and press them in. And then once we have our shapes, we can put them onto our baking sheet. So right now, I am just punching holes in the dough so that after these are baked, we have a hole to feed our string through so we can actually hang them on our Christmas tree. After you have cut out all your shapes, if you have leftover dough, you can feel free to re-roll this and cut out more shapes if you'd like. After that, you're going to place them on the cooling rack that is on the baking sheet. And the reason we're putting them on the cooling rack first is because we want them to dry out and become nice and hard. After you've finished this process with the white dough, you can go ahead and repeat it for the colored doughs. Okay, so now we are all set to pop these in the oven, and we are going to put them in for 1.5 hours at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and then after that we'll give them a little check. You may need to bake them for longer, and what we are looking for is hard ornaments. So you don't want there to be any more squish, you want these to be as hard as possible. These are the ornaments out of the oven. I baked them for 1.5 hours, and that was long enough for my dough. And I let them cool completely before I began to start decorating them. They should be completely hard, and if you knock them against the table, that should be the sound. So once your ornaments have cooled completely, you can begin to feed the string through it and then decorate. So I'm just going to show you with one ornament. So I'm going to feed the string right through and just tie a knot, leaving a loop so that it can hang on your Christmas tree. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I have glitter glue here, but you can really and truly decorate this with anything you have. You can use paint or glitter glue like I am. So you can just be as creative as you like. I'm just gonna do some lines going through. And that is a finished ornament. Here is the finished product. We have Christmas ornaments from scratch that you can now decorate your Christmas tree with. I hope you enjoyed doing this fun activity with your friends and family, whoever you decided to do it with. And on behalf of Rooks, I just want to wish you a very, very lovely holidays. And thank you for joining.